Sunday morning, let's go. The body not taking a keystroke, a syllable, a sip, a step for granted. Ultimate understatement. Let's just keep going. Ray Rump. Um, in Ray Society. Just a freaking unfathomable nightmare of an abattoir. America broken. Future Americans will not believe that we chose endless bloodshed, including the mutilation and massacre of children, um, over sanity, that we celebrated um, um, cynicism and clownery and flagrant ignorance and bad faith and greed, and sacrificed our children at the altar of that. It will not be believed that there were people like MTG and Ted Cruz and so forth. It will not be believed, the question of how did that happen? The kind of question we used to have about the Nazis will be unanswerable, for anyone until they stumble into it again. The deep intuition is that the inability to project a future writing of history that inscribes our present moment, right? Do you understand that perspective? The inability intuitively to even reckon with that, or even minimally, flickeringly conceive of that, really does make you think that perhaps this is the cusp of the end of humanity, and that the human epoch it really is ending, and it will be like ahistoric, AI historic, recombinant realities, and that's a very weird thought. Like, that intuition confirms that, supports that odd intuition, apprehension, possible reality of the humans being the squirrels in the state park being overseen by the AI overlords or what have you. Okay, enough about that. Ray Rump. Saw a bit of that Donnie in his deposition, just on zombie Twitter. Basically, it just, it's so unfair. Telling the truth is so unfair. It's so unfair to call a liar a liar. It's so unfair to call a rapist a rapist. It's so unfair to call a traitor a traitor. It's so unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair. Wah, wah. I want to rape if I rape. I want to kill if I kill. I want to sell state secrets to Putin if I want. It's stunning kind of thing. Um, um, he there's no bottom. It's just unfathomable. Um, Donnie just wants his two scoops. He wants his Roy Cohn. He wants his fulsome praise. He wants his unearned goodies. He wants his endless grift. But basically, he just wants to inflict his undying contempt for existence on existence. And his contempt for existence stems from his contempt for himself, of course, which is bottomless. And that's the source of his appeal. The genuineness of his anger and pettiness is precisely his appeal for the people who to whom he appeals. The anger is genuine, it's ontological. He hates everyone and everything, primarily himself, and it's just the theater of that hatred and that self-contempt. But who cares? Stick him in an orange outfit and lock him up. What else? Knicks and Warriors, egregious, awful performances, complete no-shows. The less said, the better. Regarding the Warriors, the only thing I would say is that it all turned on the moment that the Warriors up 11 had a fast break, and Steph and Clay had a rare miscommunication that led to a turnover with a chance to extend the lead. And from that moment on, and Curry very uncharacteristically cursed at Clay and said, "What the fuck?" And from that moment on, the Lakers just went on a 22-2 run and took total control of the game, and the Warriors were never the same again. They have to patch that interpersonal rift up if they're going to get back in the series. Um, and props to LeBron, not for the Hoopik enterprise, but for the fact that his kid is going to college, and he celebrated that in the post-game thing. He said, "I'm a winner tonight because the first member of the James gang ever is going to college, and I've done my job. That's my legacy. That's my greatness." And that's a big thing. And so props to him. Much respect. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. The NBA, Pop, Kerr, and LeBron, it's basically the NBA versus the NRA in America in a certain karmic sense. We'll see what happens. Gordon Lightfoot, John Prine, just a quick note about the the fact that two of their most beautiful songs regard the deep, haunting mystery of lakes. And John Prine's great song about St. Marie, Lake St. Marie, the kind of bittersweet, haunted memories around a certain lake that intersect with his personal life experiences and story, and mythic and historic events that amplify or resonate with those personal events. And of course, the great, like Ontario, it said, "Never give up their dead when when the skies of November are gloomy." Like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So that's kind of interesting. There's something about the lake that it's not the Lethean lake of of forgetfulness. It's the lake that takes into itself the remnants of life and memory and time and doesn't offer them back up. It's the lake in which certain things drown, which is interesting. It's very different from the ocean in a way. I don't know why. There's something more generative and inchoate and protean about the ocean. And even the great shipwrecks, which are tragic and everything, are still inscribed in some kind of mythos of, I don't know. I'll think about it some other time, perhaps, if I can keep going. Rump's contempt for being, ontological grievance, etc., incompatible narratives and incompatible ontologies, the story of certain people's lives. I'll say no more. Jim Crow, Harlan Crow, Black Crow, Scarecrow. Maybe they will never eat crow, but just too much, nothing to say. Of course, Harlan Crow is behind the Brett Kavanaugh payments too. It's all just some, ridiculous. It's all just right-wing manipulation of the courts and evil. No one will ever believe it. In the subway car, who would you have been? Just ask yourself that and hold yourself hostage to that thought. Who would you have been? What would you really have done in that subway car? Who would you have been? What would you have done? What would you have said? Think about it. Some remembrance of a silent remembrance of a solemn remembrance of a long ago world and self, 50 years ago, 51 years ago, May 6th, what have you. It's okay. Coronation, clownery. I'll try not to judge it in the harsh light of empire and genocide and what have you, but I'll say in the most non-judgmental way, with reference to Gordon Lightfoot, I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Anything with the clownery, the pomp, the circumstance, the outfits, the absurdity, dressing up like strange, Bobo, Dodo, obstreperously ridiculous creatures. I don't get it. And I don't get the fact that certain, very respectable, interesting, smart people like Nick Cave and Kate Winslet or someone, whoever it is, like a bunch of famous people, are fascinated by the royalty and go to this coronation and event with great fascination. Just kind of like the Met Gala. I don't get it all. But anyhow, so be it. Different strokes, different folks, what have you. Carnation, just don't get it. Da-da, silent remembrance of a long ago event. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. When the inside becomes the outside, the yin, the yang, the content, the form, the container, the clutter. The organizational containers, the clutter, is more the issue right here, right now. The Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downer, horses dying left and right, ridiculous. I couldn't watch, but I was just delighted to hear that no horse had to be put down from a broken femur during the race. Regarding the American abattoir and the savage, brutal massacre of children, they do need to release the grotesque images that document this bloodshed. Kids without their faces, people without their heads, etc., etc. People need to confront that and just look. If there's any hope for changing and motivating public opinion and shaming people like Ted Cruz and MTG and these Second Amendment con men clowns, America needs to just stare at itself unflinchingly in this blood-splattered mirror of who we are and the choices we're making. I'm not optimistic that that will change anyone's mind, but it'll bring more public pressure to these people. I guess I think I probably said enough in the blood-splattered mirror, the subway car, odd thing in a dream, my father in a box, somehow the memory of my father in a box, but a strange one, like a clock box or somehow. But the more interesting thing that came out of nowhere one night was somehow Brad Pitt walked up to me at the end of some event and said, "Hey, Teddy, I just want to let you know I'm getting married soon, and I'm going to call you within a month. I want to find out if you're coming. Love you, man." Just give me a big, sweet hug, nice guy. And I was like, that was weird. He's getting married to someone. And I was supposed to go. I don't know. That's, okay, the implausibility of a future history suggests. The implausibility of a future history, that's a real one. Okay, I'm going to let it go at this now. I realize the speaking has interrupted and transformed the writing in certain ways. In some ways, I'm not sure this experiment is working because it's kind of replacing the writing rather than supplementing the writing, and they're very different processes and very different kinds of things. But I don't know. Weigh in. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna log off. I won't even say go Knicks. I'll say go Jokic tonight. Let's see what he can do. The blessed and sustaining words, perhaps more later. The blessed and sustaining words.